Hi there. You are watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media. I'm Mike Morales here in the heart of the San Gabriel Valley. That gentleman out there is
Rick Levy in the Highlands of San Diego.
Rick. Why are you frozen on my screen? I'm not sure why that is.
I've been having bandwidth issues.
Oh, there you
so
go.
Maybe that's
You're
what's
back.
happening.
You're back. But see, that's what we call it Sipping Off the Cuff because we are at the mercy of our internet connections. So, Rick and I really fell all over ourselves with this tequila. This is Kostiv. This is the Reposado. Now, we tried the Blanco. We had just an amazing, this is what I considered the perfect example of a tequila from the Amatitan area and Valle, the tequila. And Rick and I are big fans of that. So, it covered all our bases.
Right.
And the description on the sell sheet had all of Rick's safe words.
Yeah. Open air fermentation, wooden vats,
Copper pot still,
masonry ovens.
Yeah, it hit all the it hit all of his. Now this is the Reposado. This is Rick. It's a clear bottle, and I know it just seems really fairly dark for a Repo. I mean,
right.
Yeah, no.
And this was a 12-month Reposado in used American oak.
12 months. So it technically could be, well, if they waited one more day to pull it out, they could have called it an añejo. So they waited on the day to pull this out of the barrel. And these are American oak barrels. It doesn't say whether they're virgin or not. We're looking at the notes here off.
No, I believe they're used.
Are they used? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe one time because there's a lot of color on this Reposado.
Yeah, American white oak barrels used.
Okay. I don't know where it says used, but with their legacy, aged in oak barrels is all I have. But
if you look in the brand story document, right at the bottom of the brand info.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I see. Yeah, they put in the description. It's not in the sell sheet. Okay. Wow, it must be lightly used because this is a dark Reposado, man.
They could always do a heavier char on the barrel, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, this particular distillery only has it's known 1,500, so it has only a handful of brands coming out of it, and I haven't popped open my gnome list to be able to tell you, but why don't I pop that open? I know that Código is produced there. At least that's what it says. But Rick, you said something about
No, I was mistaken. I wasn't sure if it was still there, but Código is still there.
Okay.
According to the information I have.
All right. Let me go into. Bear with me here because I'm opening up the official gnome list. And I can give you, there we go. It is Tequilera Las Juntas. That is the name of the distillery. And it says Código is produced there. And the other ones I think are, as far as I know, Rick, the other ones are probably Mexico only. I've never heard of the other ones. Amanecer Ranchero.
Right.
La Brecha.
Okay. El Jefe used to be produced there. Giggling Marlin, which I believe you've had, used to be produced there.
No kidding. They moved it, huh? Giggling Marlin's an excellent tequila, or was, but
Yeah, Giggling Marlin may not be active anymore.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Sad, but true. I'm going to be using my Stasso Jarrito to pour the Reposado, and this is the Stasso with the wider mouth. I like doing that. I like mixing it up a little bit, just because I'm such a big fan. This is the right tequila glass or mezcal glass. Wow, that is rich. That's a rich nose.
I think you might be right on your call that it may have not been a heavily used barrel, because off the top of the bottle, I'm getting a lot of barrel notes.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm not smelling it on this, but I noticed it out of the bottle. It was almost like an instant. You got what you could smell was the char. You got like an instant. When you pour fresh bourbon. I
haven't done that for a while. Why bourbon when you could have añejo?
Yeah, it's true, right? But yeah, wow. Oh my gosh. Now this is a lot of wood notes on this one.
Yeah.
Holy cow, man.
This is almost like a with the nose, it's almost like a throwback kind of repo.
At this time, and I'm gonna relate a story, and I know I'm probably kind of a long-winded story, but you'll appreciate this. I know that you're seeing this at the beginning of 2021, folks. So Happy New Year! But we're filming this in October, and we're still sequestered at home. Okay, so we invented virtual tastings like this. So just recently, in the past week, we have had the departure. Well, all year we've had the departure of some grand people, just from all walks of life. And one of those gentlemen was the master distiller of Espolón tequila. And I remember meeting him, Ingeniero Cirilo Oropesa was his gentleman's name, and he was the master distiller of Espolón. And I remember meeting the gentleman at the time. Espolón, you remember the foil bottles and the foil labels on it. It was just barely on the market. They were making Corazón. So Corazón was the stablemate at that time, and it was the more high-end stablemate. But Espolón had like this cult following. It was a lot cheaper at the time. It was like $20 cheaper than Corazón. So we were doing a grand tasting at the distillery, San Nicolas, and it was during the first Blue Agave tour. So we were all sitting around this big boardroom table, and we had a chance to speak to Senor Oropesa. And I asked him, I said, he had bottles of the Reposado and bottles of the Añejo together, okay? But the Añejos looked lighter than the Reposados. And I said, why is that? It's almost like they should be flipped, right? And he says, because we rest the Reposados first. See how that works? And it's like, wow, genius, right? So the Repo in and of itself will have more character, whereas, more wood character and notes to add layers, whereas the Añejo, I think the Añejo was over like 18 months, maybe longer, and the Añejo would have less color, but would be more agave forward. There's always a method to the madness. So yeah. I would venture to say, right, maybe the barrels aren't so old that. And again, he rested this at just before he had to call it an añejo, right? So there's so much character going on here.
Right. A lot of barrel there.
Wow. Sorry, I know I went off the deep end there with that story, but again, that's not
to say that that's how Kostiv does it.
Yeah, we're not.
But sure. It's just to illustrate the interesting things that can be done with barrel work.
Yes, barrel management is highly underrated, and for a master distiller who wants to present his agave in a certain way, we know how G4 does it, right? We know how Felipe Camarena does it. He's all about his agave, and others are more about marrying the wood notes with the agave so that they present each other. Okay, I'm cool with that. Either way, I'll drink it. You know, so.
Right.
Wood notes, spice notes, right off the, at the top of the barrel, there was like a bourbon notes that I got right away.
I'm expecting some sweetness from this profile, from the barrel treatment.
Lowell, let's try it. Let's see what we get. Oh.
Mm.
Wow.
So not as sweet as I was expecting, which is a good thing.
Right.
I'm getting like a hint of butterscotch though, which I'm really enjoying.
Okay. The finish is still there. It's a nice lingering finish, medium to long. It was I'm gonna have another sip because I can't decide if it's going in dry and finishing sweet, or if it's going in sweet and finishing dry, because I know that whiskey and bourbon flip flop. I know it's bourbon whiskey, but remember, Tennessee whiskey is one thing, and bourbon is something else.
Kentucky bourbon.
Yeah. Mm. Wow, this is a glorious nose, man.
Oh, it really is.
Wow. Now I'm not getting I'm not getting a lot of the minerality that we got on the Blanco, but I think that's on purpose, right?
Yeah, and I was thinking, on the Blanco, the minerality increases that pepper effect, I think. And so I think that is not as intense here on the Repo.
Well, they mellowed it. I mean, they're letting it sit on slightly slightly used barrels, in my opinion, just judging from the color, and pulling it out the day before they got to call it an añejo. That's a long time. That's a long time, and perfect. Again, the barrel management and what they wanted to accomplish. Holy cats, man! You could even put an ice cube in this thing like you would with a bourbon. Just let it open up if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. You could even use this in a Latin Manhattan.
I was going to ask you, would it stand up to that?
Yeah.
Would it stand up to the old fashioned as well, or no?
I'm not so much into old fashions, so I couldn't really tell you there.
But the Latin Manhattan, I get that. I do. I get it's the character. It really stands up. Really, really stands up. And I know it's more barrel forward, but that's not a bad thing. It's really done well. It's very. I think again, when I think back on Espolón, the old Espolón, old bottling before Campari bought the distillery and they brought in Cabo Wabo and kicked out Corazon. I think it really harkened. Again, we were talking about that with the Blanco. This is like a throwback tequila, man. This is like an old style tequila, like an old Espolón used to taste.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. So if you enjoy the barrel aged varieties, definitely check this out. I'm wondering, when we go into the añejo next, is it going to seem like an XA?
I don't know. I don't know. I have had some of it, just to be honest, but when I moved from Texas to California, I can't remember, half of what, we still have to retaste everything for the 2020
Mike
Grand
drinks a lot.
Yeah, says the man with his tequila behind him. He drinks so much, he's got everything broken down into regions. He's got highlands, lowlands, and right in the middle, he's got his Amati time. Oh my gosh. Well, Rick, I gotta say, brand of promise, man. This is just beautiful.
Absolutely.
And again, if you remember what old bottling Espolón tasted like when Senor Oropesa, Ingeniero Oropesa, was still alive, and again he just passed away. May he rest in peace. This really brings. It's really funny how it brought back that memory, because I was just learning about tequila, even though I'd had my own shows. I had never really been to a distillery until after we were done doing shows, and then went with the blue. That was before tours were even popular. So we're sitting down with the master distiller, the guy who's a genius. The ones who literally was playing Mozart during the fermentation. He had, and it was a noisy distillery as I recall, but you could hear the music, and he would play it all the time. And as a matter of fact, as I am writing now the definitive book on the Mozart method. And one of my chapters is called "The Tequila is Dancing," because that's what the women would say. Now the women that worked in the distillery, he was one of the first ones to hire a lot of women to work in the distillery because they did the labeling. The men, they actually had their own agave fields, and I've been to that distillery twice, and I've been on their agave fields. The men would do all the hard work, the farming and whatever, but the women would do bottling and all that. And he was one of the first ones that didn't make a big deal out of it, but he had women working in the distillery. Lots of them, as a matter of fact. As I recall, I got catcalled once while we were. Yeah, I did. Anyway, long story short, a Brand of Promise nominee. That's Kostiv. What's our MSRP on this one?
Yeah. The MSRP on the Reposado is $49.99.
It is available at Cask Cartel. They'll ship all across the country unless you're on that no ship list, and also Old Town. And I guess they're going for the price that they're expecting. So
this was a silver medal winner at 2019 World Spirits Competition.
Wow.
So I'm really digging this aroma, and I'm not surprised you're waxing nostalgic about all these memories, because aromas trigger memories.
Yeah, well, and wow, see, now that I have a little bit left in here, now I'm getting a lot more of the char and the bourbon notes that we got when you open the bottle.
Right.
Wow, this is beautiful. This is really, really something. Oh my God.
I can't keep my nose out of here.
Me neither. But we're going to have to, because we're already almost 18 minutes into this review. But anyway, stick with us, folks, because we have more stories. This is the beginning of 2021, our 2021 season. I couldn't have picked a better tequila to start that off with, man. Kostiv. Go get yourself a bottle of Kostiv. You will love this tequila. I'm promising you that it will bring back memories, folks. I don't even know if you can even see the label on this.
You might see it on the shelf in a blue box. Mike has the blue boxes there.
Yes. Yeah, the blue box looks like this. Okay. Again, it's worth every penny and probably worth more. Okay. There are tequilas. You and I have had tequilas that are worth more with less character. I love this. I love where they're headed with this. But that's our take on Kostiv Reposado. Stick with us. We've got Kostiv Añejo coming up. I'm Mike Morales here in the heart of the San Gabriel Valley. That gentleman out there is
Rick Levy in Escondido, California.
You have been watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on platforms. Please subscribe, download where you listen to podcasts like Spotify, and hit that red button there on YouTube, unless, of course, you're afraid of commitment. But either way, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.